Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good day, wherever you are. It's breakfast somewhere, so eat up. Food for thought. Welcome to Breakfast with Vinnie. So, what do we want? I mean, what do we really want? If we haven't already asked ourselves that question at the onset of a career or at the onset of any new venture, then surely we've asked ourselves that question at varying points of our lives. In the context of what we do or our professions, have we asked ourselves that question before we've even began our journey? Did we honestly know what we wanted from it? Did we ask ourselves why we wanted to do a particular thing? Or did we just realize that this is what we wanted to do, or that it called to us, or that it just hit us so forcefully that we just knew that's what we were going to do? That it was our calling, perhaps. Was it fame, fortune, feel like we were called to do? Now, that may seem like a very incomplete multiple choice question. Some might say all of the above. Some might say, well, I knew that this is what I wanted to do and or was cut out to do, but I also wanted to be rich doing it and or famous doing it as well. Well, like so much in life, sometimes these questions and answers seem to me more like elements on a mixing console rather than individual cut and dried elements, like facets of personality and so many other things. They're like things occupying different volume levels in a mix, as well as panning position and so forth. But often, as with a mix, one thing may occupy the space of the most attention at any given moment and even drown out other elements of a mix. And as with a mix, there can be really bad mixes as well as really good ones in various levels in between. All of those elements in a mix influence each other. If one element demands a proper focus but is distracted from by other elements that are mixed badly in context with it, then that would be one example of constituting a bad mix. It would also analogously demonstrate what happens when one element interferes with another in life. Distractions, interference. Because often when we are pursuing what we love to do purely from the love of it, we may not think of earning a living from it the same way that we do if we're dominantly pursuing money and making the most that we can. That's not to simplistically say that we cannot be smart about earning and accumulating money whilst earning a living doing what we love. But oftentimes we can have different priorities and even different ethics when one particular motivation is dominant. We see that all the time in the news. We really don't have to look very far to see case studies of what happens when fortune or fame is at the top of the mix. It all depends on other elements. Did we once have an epiphany and say, this is it, I'm not looking back? And if so, how powerful was it? Did we follow through? Did we buckle to peer pressure or pressure from family or friends that may have been frightened or overprotective or envious? Was our personal constitution so weak compared to the strength of our initial epiphany that we gave up, perhaps prematurely? Mind you that you can see the complexity here. Well-meaning family may have been rightfully concerned with our choice of career path and really for concern of our well-being versus what they may have vicariously wanted for us, or the other way around. Often it also seems that as much as we may have a close-knit circle of friends cheering us on, that there's no shortage of those wanting to tear us down. This is the crucible of belief in oneself. As well as having a sturdy belief in yourself, it has to be tempered with honesty, knowing that you have what it takes to carry it through. When you know that you're capable of doing what you love with excellence and integrity, then your belief can become more solid with that knowledge because you know that you're not kidding yourself. You know that you can carry it out and therefore stand more of a chance when preparedness meets opportunity, and that you will be more likely to find yourself in the situations that not only do you want to be in, but those that demand genuine ability that no amount of schmoozing can do, because those are the situations in which people can't be fooled. If fame is the dominant element, then there are plenty of situations that will welcome one that prizes fame. Bad reality shows, for example. No need to list several here. Hopefully they speak for themselves. If fortune is the dominant element, then stories are legion about seedy hedge fund managers and others who have reaped huge personal financial gain. Yes, there are those who have been philanthropic for the right reasons and those who have rose to fame that have been great examples to humanity. But without naming names here, I have to wonder if they set out saying, I want to be famous, or I just want to be filthy rich. And yes, people can and have changed, often without overt pressure to do so. There will always be point counterpoint. But if you get what I'm saying here, then it might explain itself. The real point is this. When you ask yourself that question, it might give you the impetus to stop beating yourself up in a dead-end job that you may be martyring yourself in for no good reason, other than perhaps a set of misbeliefs. Or it might refuel your impetus to readjust your focus on what you're doing already, reignite it, rebalance it. And really, at the end of the day, how badly do I want this? Because there will be sacrifices. It's not always rainbows and unicorns in the journey. Nowadays, in the present societal quagmire, it seems that if one were to look at those limited multiple choice questions mentioned earlier and said something like, well, I want to do what I love and make a good living at it. Well, what is a good living? How can I even afford to think like that anymore? How volatile is the marketplace for that now? What is the marketplace? How quickly is it changing? Usually under the terms of, there is infinite wealth available for all. So rather than society and those who govern as well as the market thinking and acting in ways to reduce volatility and foster an environment whereby people could and would be happy earning a good living, it instead seems to foster greed and chasing. So obviously we need to keep our heads on straight and above water here. We absolutely can think abundantly, but lest we become prey to those pretending to advocate all of that underneath a thinly veiled layer of greed, then we need to know the difference. Nothing has ever been constant, but if we know we are able and we are fueled with the drive, then we can and often will not only have faith and belief in ourselves, but we may also find ourselves discovering ways to sustain ourselves as well. Even in volatile times, we will be presenting ourselves with honesty, even in an age of rampant deceit. This has nothing to do with marketing or any of that. That is a somewhat separate issue. So, what's in your mix? What are the dominant elements? What elements constitute it? Ability, love, code of ethics, ambition, discipline, consistency, respect. Let's get our mix straight. Thanks for listening. Stay tuned for the next episode of Breakfast with Vinnie.